and welcome to Find Your Freedom TV. This is actually our first episode of season 2. So my name's Jodie. I'm your host for Find Your Freedom TV, and this is the show about helping you find your mental, emotional, physical, and financial freedom. And each week for this season, I'll be coming to you with different people who are all about helping you find more freedom. And they're also going to be here in Adelaide, where I'm from, later in November as part of the movement to Wake Up Adelaide and create a better way to work and live. So to get the party started, I'm really excited to introduce a local gal. She is an incredible business mind, and she's actually the brains behind Glam Adelaide. Her name is Kelly Noble. So Kelly, come on in, and I'm really excited to actually interview Kelly and share with you some of the incredible things that she's done to create freedom using automation. So welcome, Kelly, to Find Your Freedom TV.
Thanks for having me.
It's my pleasure. And so, Kelly, I always like to start by asking this very first question. What is freedom to you?
It's a big question. Look, at the moment, we're moving offices. We've got a brand new business. We've got small children. Freedom is a night on the couch. I do anything I can to get there. But I suppose in a broader sense, freedom would just be, taking away some of the stresses and the anxiety that life can bring. So anything that can give me those little pockets of freedom, whether it's financial freedom or just even free time. It's I'm rambling a little bit, but I think freedom is just finding those gaps so you're not completely inundated with everything else.
Absolutely. And I agree. It often begins in the mind. It's just about that little bit of space between all the other stuff that has us feeling trapped. In talking about trapped, have you ever been in a stage in your life? I know when I was working full-time in the corporate world, I literally felt trapped. I was in a stage in my life where I felt really stuck. Have you ever felt stuck anywhere or trapped?
I think, look, I loved my corporate career before I started businesses, but I was certainly very restricted within all the bureaucracy of, the levels of management and what you could and couldn't do within your role. And so, that was a form of being trapped for me. But also, I guess, I have felt trapped by my own business over the years as well, because I've put so many years and so many hours and so much into it, with the light at the end of the tunnel being, it'll be successful, or I'll make money out of it, or it will give me, some sort of freedom. And when things go wrong, you're like, well, I can't get out because I've put so much into it. And so you feel trapped by your own business, and you're like, God, this is, I can't do anything. Like, I've got to keep going, and I don't want to, but I'm finding sinker in. But luckily, I think by being trapped in those situations, it's worked out for the best, because it meant that I didn't just drop it the second it got hard.
Yeah, and you know what? I think a lot of people build a business with the hope or the wish for freedom, but the business ends up becoming the biggest trap of ever. I don't know a business owner that's not had that moment that you were saying, you know what, I feel trapped, but I'm stuck now because I've created this entity. And even me in the 7 Effect, I've certainly had those moments. But then when you have the commitment to the cause, why you got in it in the first place, what's really nice about being in a business is it gives you the fortitude to stick it out and find that freedom that you're craving for. Yeah. Kelly, Glam Adelaide has been what can only be described as a runaway success from the outside. Like, we can look at this and you can almost say it's like one of those overnight successes, a phenomenal runaway business. But tell us a little bit about behind the scenes. Firstly, why did you start Glam Adelaide? So what motivated you to lead this movement?
It was never meant to be a business. I was working in corporate communications, so PR, back sort of circa 2000. I moved to Adelaide. I was working for Mitsubishi, and I was really very aware that every time there was good news at an exhibition, we'd try and get that into the media. The media didn't want to know the good news. You know, they wanted the scandals and the bad news, and there was Lonsdale closing and all you know, stuff around the factory. And it was quite disheartening because being, you know, in such a big company with so much cool stuff going on, nobody wanted to write about it.
Yeah.
And so that was sort of in the back of my head. I didn't like how much negative news that was out there. And the flip side of it was, you know, I'd moved to Adelaide when I finished uni, and I moved here because I came here on holidays. I loved it, and wanted to be here. So when I moved here, I didn't know where to go though. I was in my early 20s, and I would I've told this story a few times this week. I used to drive around the city Saturday night and look for groups of people walking around, and it sounds very stalker, but I was always looking to see where people were going because I couldn't find the clubs. I didn't know where to go. I didn't have word of mouth.
So you creep around looking for groups.
So, you know, that's how I found bars and venues back then.
Wow.
So it was really hard for me. And I didn't go to school here, so I didn't have those networks. So I started this MySpace group, and initially the real focus was just to help me find, you know, where to go in Adelaide. And within, I don't know, a week or so, we had over 100 people in this group, and that was a big deal back then. I know, like, that was a lot bigger now. But you know, people were posting when DJs were playing in bars and photos from different venues and fashion parades, and it was pretty sort of club culture back then. Yeah, and it was how I found where to go and what to do. But there was too much information, so then I Googled how to make a website, and then we had people giving us information about what was going on. So I put the news on the site, and it was the old days where you had to sort of select everything and drag it down the page to put something new at the top. You know, very, very tedious. And I was still working sort of like 7 till 6 at Godie, and then I'd start going out and taking photos at events, and I had a laminated media card that I invented.
Right.
I'm like, legit. Here you go. And I'd go in and I'd take photos on my little digital camera, and no one ever believed me that I was media. And I was like, no, this is the way of the future, guys.
Yeah.
Big media camera, and but I put the photos up and I'd put the news up, and it sort of started this whole thing of everyone had news, everyone had good news, and no one could actually get it in the paper, and no one could get it. There wasn't a lot of options back then, and so we started publishing good news because we wanted to promote this. You know, and the name Glam Adelaide, that was literally just a lunch hour decision. You know, it was let's show the glamorous, cool stuff that's going on in the city, and it was never meant to be, you know, fashion oriented or beauty or anything like that. It was literally just like, let's show the glitz and glamour and fabulousness of Adelaide, because people in Adelaide didn't quite believe why I'd moved to Adelaide. They didn't see how cool their own city was. So it was also sharing that information back to them. So
I just love that, and it's a bit crazy as well that someone's come from outside of Adelaide, and I think this happens a lot, and seen the glitz and the glamour and the potential and the beauty of this city, and loved it so much that they felt compelled in their spare time to shout about it and create a movement around it, which I just find phenomenal. So Kelly, as you were doing that, were you ever thinking, okay, one day this can be a business, or I could see a model, or was it that this could make money, or was it just literally, I'm loving it, and you were just riding off the passion of flapping around your fake media?
There was no money to be made. People didn't understand digital. A lot of people said I should start a PR agency because I was in PR, and the very thought of that terrified me. It all seemed very, very much too hard to have a business. I was really happy being part of a team and doing that. And this was just it really just was a hobby. I don't think I made $1 for about 5 years.
Wow, you just passion.
Yeah, I was just doing it because I loved it. And it also got me, you know, I started getting invited to stuff, and I was super poor. So it was, you know, like free tickets, free booze, like that was absolutely in my early 20s. I was was pretty happy with that stuff. But, you know, like I also gave a lot back in return for that and helped to promote all these events and get the word out there. So it's really just grown very slowly and organically, you know, for the last 15 years.
And tell us about the moment when it actually did become a business for you and you were able to quit your job and start actually saying, right, this is a space that I can now create some income from.
Yeah. I guess I set up a membership model for the business because I figured that banner advertising was dying, and this is, you know, 2007.
Yeah.
Banner ads, no one likes those. What I'll do is I'll have a membership model, and businesses can sign up as a member, and they pay an annual fee.
Yeah.
And then we'll promote their stuff, so they can send us their information, and we can put that stuff up on the website, and it gives me content, and it also helps to promote them. So that was kind of the business model. And look, it's almost exactly the same now. It's just a lot smarter.
Mm-hmm.
But that was $200 a year.
Yeah.
And so I had businesses signing up with that. So I had a bit of pocket money coming in, but it wasn't really enough to live on. And I was living in Chicago, and I was running Glam Adelaide from Chicago.
Wow.
And I couldn't get a job in Chicago because I didn't have the right papers. So this was like my only source of income was dribs and drabs from Glam. And when I moved back to Australia, you know, I'd moved over to Chicago when I broke up with my ex, and so, you know, got rid of the house and all the furniture and the dog, and I was kind of burden free, I guess. I was also asset free, but I was
it's a value.
Slight issue, but I didn't have any expenses and I didn't have a mortgage, and I was quite lucky. So when I moved back, I moved in with my parents for a couple of months and really sort of sunk my teeth into it, and got it all up and running properly and tried to make it a bit bigger. Mm-hmm. And it really just kind of grew from there. I got a new website in, I think it was about 2010, and I changed to WordPress, and WordPress changed my life.
Wow.
I didn't have to do this drag and drop stuff anymore. And we still use it now, and the site's enormous now, and it serves our purpose. So, you know, from a garage kind of company to where we are now, it's funny how some of these software systems, you know, it was the cheapest option at the time, and it's still so affordable. So I love that some of these things have carried through over the years as well. But that was the big thing, is that I didn't have a job, I didn't have a mortgage, so I could actually spend some time on it. But I had been chipping away at the offering and the business for years. So there was nothing overnight about it.
And that's the thing. Behind every overnight success story and runaway business success, what you find is someone behind the scenes that actually showed up for 5 or 6 years without getting paid because they were so passionate about doing something. And, you know, the 7 Effect, the business that I created, was never started as a business either. It's just a goals club. It was me and a group of friends, and we just showed up each week setting our goals. And because I was speaking and started telling stories about the goals club, people would say, how do we get into it? And so this business, very similar to, well, a very different business to Glam Adelaide, but similar evolution, came out of just an opportunity. And one of the things that I really sense is your biggest success factor is it, and I could be wrong because we don't know each other that well, but when we spoke on the phone the other day, I got this sense of you are just a can-do gal. You know, it's just like can do. Would that be fair to say?
I think I don't see myself as a can-do person, but I think I don't have a choice person.
Oh, okay.
You know, like if I don't do it, it doesn't get done. So I go, you know, I need Google Analytics on my website. I'll just go figure out how it's done, because by the time I hire somebody to do that and pay the money and do this, you know, I could have used that money for something else, or I could have used that time for something else. And sometimes it's easy just to do things yourself. So, you know, our business it's evolved and it's grown and it's changed constantly. Every year it's different. You know, we add different things in, and change it up. And, then we've got a calendar, and then we've got maps, and then we've got, favourites. And they're just usually a bottle of wine and an idea and me Googling, figuring out how to do things and going, oh, that'll be cool. I'll just add that. And if I break the site, then I'll call my IT person and get them to fix it. So because we're small, we're agile. And so we can chop and change and move around. And so, if something needs to be done, I do it and I get it done. And then if if I'm the wrong person for it, then sometimes I'll go out and find the right people. But it's trial and error, and it's also having no budget. We don't have budget for doing all these big fancy things. Our competitors have huge budgets and we've got nothing. Yeah. But it makes us more creative, I think, and it makes us understand the business more, because we have to we're the ones doing it, so we get it. Yeah. I think when I had a bookkeeper who did all my books for me, I had no idea what was going on. Yeah. And then I could kind of do that myself, and I have, I make so much more money now because I understand the money side of it. Yeah. So I feel like you've got to kind of get in and do stuff yourself if you want to learn and understand it, and then that knowledge is going to bring you success.
Yeah. And one of the things that I think is fantastic is you are self-taught. You just do, okay, I'll Google it and I'll work it out. And you were saying that, and this is really, I guess, the theme of it, how you've cracked the code on using systems, particularly your favourite new one, Zapier, to automate things. So can you tell us about your thoughts behind automating your business, and even some tips and tricks that you're going to share at Wake Up Adelaide when you come and speak there, and you can share for all the viewers watching about how to use automation to create freedom in your business?
Yeah, so I guess one example of this is that my husband and I just set up a new business on July 1st called Showcase South Australia. So when Brand SA had their funding cut at the end of financial year, they had to close, and we set up a company so that we could transition all the members and all the businesses across that were with Brand SA into Showcase, and continue running the events and continue the membership program. So, we got the nod from Brand SA that they were going to endorse us on like the Thursday, Friday of the end of financial year. And then we had to be up and running on the Monday. So over the course of a weekend, we set up an entire business, which was fairly hectic. But the good thing is, because we had all these systems in place with Glam Adelaide, we could kind of transition all the best bits of our back end for Showcase. But then, all of a sudden we needed an online shopping cart, which we hadn't needed for Glam Adelaide. So I had to learn WooCommerce. And then I discovered that there were all these other plugins that you can add to WooCommerce to make it, more clever. And so then I started, and you just go down the rabbit hole of looking at all these different things. And I found Zapier, which is my best friend. And it's basically a system that connects different software programs. So if somebody buys something in WooCommerce, Zapier can connect it to Xero. So it can create a customer file. It can create an invoice for that customer. It can then pay the invoice because they've paid online. And so, those are three processes that I don't have to manually do then. And then that same purchase can create a customer file in our CRM system, and it can create a folder on Dropbox, and it can send out an email and say, welcome, add them to mail, tag them, depending on their level of purchase. That, and I don't have, so I'm going, oh my God, this is amazing. I didn't even know this stuff existed. And so I've really nerded out and set the whole Showcase up using all these automations. And we're still finessing everything. We've only been in operation for a quarter. But gosh, it takes so much admin and tediousness out of the back end of it. And also it makes everything just more efficient, because all your software programs are talking to each other. So now I'm going to go back and do that to Glam Adelaide as well, and see if we can automate more stuff with Glam. But it's just like a light bulb's gone off, and I'm like, there's so many programs like that out there. And even things like, chat bots, and I know there's stuff with Wake Up on that, that's so clever, and all these little bits and pieces, if you can kind of look at them and see if these things are relevant to your business. Some of them are game changers, absolute game changers.
Theone's actually saying, Adair, we should look into this when we have time, because They are masters. I know Adair and Theone do the bots really well, but imagine with Adair and Theone, imagine, ladies, with your genius around the bots, and then put a bit of Zapier magic on that. I mean, wow. Kelly, can I ask, because we have Zapier in our business, but I haven't had my hand on systems, and I really agree with what you said. For years, I just outsourced that, and as a result, I didn't really understand how they worked, so they weren't strategically working the way I wanted them to be. But is Zapier hard to work out how to do, or is it? Have you found?
I learned it over a bottle of wine. It's
okay.
You know, and it was
wine is the key.
Wine is the key. South Australian wine. But it's one of those things where you create steps, and then it gets to the end, it goes, this didn't work, and you go, all right. So you go back and you find where it's broken and where it says like error, and then you change something. So there's a little bit of trial and error until you figure out, because what it will do is, like, say with WooCommerce and with Xero, it has like full name and first name, last name, and you're like, well, those two don't match. So then you've got to point to something else so it can fill the field in. So some of it's just a little bit of trial and error, but it's not hard. It's fairly intuitive, and I'm not a coder or a programmer more than the next person. Everything that I touch, I kind of learn for the first time, and I'm certainly not in my 20s or 30s. So I'm not of that tech era. I've just, I guess try to figure stuff out, and then if I still can't get it, I Google it and I go, what's going on here? Like, why is this not working? So all the answers are out there. You just got to, put some time aside and figure it out. Because now that I spent a weekend doing that and going, oh my God, what is this?
Yeah.
Through that weekend, and I just had a report saying that we've maxed out our 1,000 task limit for the month. I've got to go up another level with Zapier.
Oh, right.
So because everyone's a task. So I've just had 1,000 things I didn't have to do.
That is cool. And I like it's telling you that thing what a way to encourage you to keep going up a limit in Zapier, because now it's saying, wow, this is 1,000 things Zapier is doing for me to create more freedom for me to go back into Zapier and zap up more stuff. I love it. Yeah.
But also, it shows you all of the God, I should be getting a commission on this. It shows you all of the history of the tasks, so you can see if things are going wrong and where they're going wrong. Like sometimes it disconnects from Xero, so I've just got to re-log in. But it's and you can see the things that are being used all the time, and you can see the things that aren't. So you go, that zap wasn't really needed. Nobody's using this. Maybe we should look at a different way to be using it. But like I don't even know, there's something like 10,000 different software programs it connects. So I've only scratched the surface. I'm really only, I just need to browse through all of them and go, how can I use this?
Can I zap up? That's fantastic. And so for all of you that are watching, Find Your Freedom TV is being broadcast on several different pages. But if you're watching and you wanted to ask any questions for Kelly before we wrap up, then make sure you're watching on the 7 Effect page, because then your questions will come up live. In fact, Angel has said it's so true what you're saying, Kelly. You do need to know every aspect of your business. It is absolutely true. By the way, if you are interested in actually coming and meeting Kelly and hearing her approach to building a business, particularly on a budget, because Kelly's a self-confessed cheapskate, you can come along to Wake Up Adelaide, which is happening November 21st and 22nd. Is that the right dates? I think that's the right dates. And if you want to get a discount code, all you need to do, if you're on the Facebook page, is type in Wake Up, and we will automatically, it's not through Zapier, but through the magic of bots, actually send you that discount code. So, Kelly, I'd love to know, is there any inspirational book or game-changing wisdom that you've ever read or come across that's really set you on this path of just making stuff happen? Because you're like a builder to me.
Look, I kind of love that everyone has all these books. I mean, my husband and I laugh because our house is full of them. We've probably got 30, leadership and, finding your destiny, all this sort of books in our house. And I think, we've read all of these things and we've gotten different things out of each of these books, but there's really nothing in particular that I would say has sort of like been a light bulb moment for me as far as books or inspiration goes. I think, Richard Branson's story is pretty inspirational.
Yeah.
He's such a clever guy. And the speed that his mind works, I like hearing from people that are actually successful rather than people that are just telling you how to be successful.
Yeah.
Successful from selling their book.
Yeah.
People that have actually achieved. And that's so, listening to all the stuff that Richard Branson has done, not necessarily giving out advice, but just seeing how he takes advantage of opportunities.
Yeah.
I find that really inspirational, but I don't have one go-to book or anything like that. I have small children. I don't read books as often as I would like anymore. I read articles and, I'm an absolute consumer of information.
Yeah.
I'm always online. I'm always reading the news. I'm always reading everything. But from that, I mean, gosh, I'll just say, if you want to read something, read whatever you can. Like the more you can read, the better you're going to be, because I'm a sponge for information. And I think from just being across stuff, it helps me identify opportunities when they're in front of me, or, I can talk to people in a room because I'm more aware of what's going on, in Adelaide or in the world. Too many people just don't read, full stop.
And I think that I'm very similar to you. I love to follow people who have actually got the results. I'm very into runs on the board. Let's follow people who are doing it, not people who are talking about doing it. But when it comes to, developing ourselves or reading and being open to information, what it does is it just it expands our mind. It makes us less believing there's only one way. And I think that's really important. I wanted to ask you, Kelly, can you share with us, in terms of moving forward, what is your vision for Glam Adelaide and for Showcase SA, for you and Steve working on that? Like, do you see these two companies collaborating, or are they two separate entities, and where are they going?
Glam Adelaide is probably the most successful it's ever been, which is, it's really exciting because we have worked so hard for so long on this. Yeah. This year alone, we've had this month, I just did the figures last night, we've had nearly 700,000 hits on the website alone, which is, it's awesome that so many people want good news about Adelaide and they want to know what's going on, and I love that. Yeah. And I love that we can help small businesses, get the cool stuff out about what their businesses are doing, and help them sell tickets to their events or sell their products, or just, get some exposure. It's really rewarding. So, I want to keep doing that, because personally I could be earning a lot more money doing something else, but I do this because I believe in it and I'm passionate about it, and I love being around positivity and good people. And there's a fly in my office. It's because I have like 800 plants in here.
That's good for you. Plants in your office is the best air filter you can get.
And then, so that's a business to consumer model. And then Showcase SA is a business to business model. So, we've got those business memberships. Businesses sign up and they get, rather than content, they get event tickets. So we hold professional training and development sessions. Yesterday we had a CEO luncheon, and we hosted the Lord Mayor, who spoke about her journey, which was like so fascinating. Yeah. She's a really very cool woman. And we've got industry events and networking nights. Like there's just so many different things. So they're very, very different membership models and very different businesses, but both of them are founded on the belief that we need to make Adelaide successful, and we need to support Adelaide businesses, and it's great to go interstate and expand your business and export and do all of this stuff. But for so many of our businesses, certainly my business, our customers are here. They're in South Australia.
Yeah.
So we really want to support the businesses that are in South Australia, and so we absolutely can do that together. So Glam Adelaide and Showcase can work together because we've got the same agenda. We just do it in different ways, and also, you know, having a big media outlet to promote and support South Australian businesses that are involved with Showcase.
Yeah,
it's not a bad perk. So
fantastic. Yeah. And I absolutely, and this is exactly why you are the perfect leader to be part of the Wake Up Adelaide movement and to be there, not only helping us grow the movement around it, but to actually come on stage and share with us your secrets to success and really unpacking what you've done to achieve that, but also why we as business owners and as citizens of Adelaide need to recognise that, you know what, there's glitz and glam and cool stuff happening right here in this city, and not every event should require us to get on a plane to Sydney or Melbourne to see some amazing people, to learn some amazing stuff. You know, for everyone out there that's watching, the Wake Up Adelaide movement was really all about exactly what Kelly's talking about. It's very easy to think that we're a small country town or a big country town in a tiny little city. But really, there's so many cool things going on here, and I think even more and more so. So if you really are interested in coming and meeting Kelly and myself at Wake Up Adelaide, we would absolutely love you to join the movement, because it is about not only waking up people to celebrate the city that we live in and the awesomeness of Adelaide, but also about waking up to outliers in their industry and discovering a smarter way to have health, wealth, happiness and wisdom in your life. So if you are watching, do make sure that you type in on the 7 Effect page, Wake Up, and you'll get a discount code. So you can come along and you'll get a code to get a cheaper ticket, and you'll get to meet and hear from Kelly. So I just want to say thank you so much, Kelly, for joining us on this show. I'm really excited to actually do your session with you at Wake Up Adelaide. If you were to leave us with just 3 hot tips, and I'm putting you on the spot, so don't worry, but 3 hot tips about building a business or finding freedom through automation, what would they be? And wine would probably be one of them, I'm guessing. Drink wine.
One. Yeah. Actually, I'll just, before I even go into that, today alone, you've got the World Solar Challenge happening in Adelaide. You've got the Lucky Dumpling Festival launching tonight, where there's also wine. And you've got the Vogue Fashion Fest kicking off. And then there is the Oz Asia Festival launching as well.
I love that.
So get out of your house this weekend and go do something cool. 3 things. Okay, well, I think forming a really good network is essential, especially in Adelaide. Where it's, you know, personally or professionally, I think you've got to have people around you that support you and inspire you and, you know, help carry you on the journey that you're on. And, you know, I certainly get inspired a lot by the people that I'm around, and it makes me want to do more and makes me want to be better. And also it gives me people to ask advice from. So especially when you're starting your own business, or, you know, even 15 years in like myself, you know, there's always people that are smarter than you.
That's right, absolutely.
But everyone's got their own bit of advice and insight or experience that they can kind of throw at you, which is so helpful and just saves so many hours of Googling. There's also, I think there's always thrifty ways to do things. I've never had a big budget. A lot of people put off starting a business or doing something because they think it's going to be too expensive and they've got to save up the money, and I don't want to do anything until this is done. The amount of people that have really amazing businesses but don't want Glam Adelaide to write about them because they're like, I haven't got a good website yet. Can you just wait? But their website's got nothing to do with their business. And like, it's still just a brochure for their business. And it's like, send people to your Facebook page. Like, don't do business because your website's not good enough. I think people always build these kind of, I don't think they realize they're doing it, but they're putting these roadblocks in front of themselves because they think they need to have some big marketing budget. Like, we've never spent any money on marketing. We don't spend money on stuff. We find creative ways to get around it. So always look to the internet and see if there's a better way or a cheaper way or a smarter way. And some things I'd say out there are totally worth spending money on. Because they, thousands of hours in admin time, your time, so you could be doing something better or hiring someone. So always, look and see if there's a better way of doing something.
Yeah.
That would be my second tip.
Yeah. Networks, finding a better way, which is what Wake Up Adelaide is all about.
Yeah. And I don't know, make sure you have a really good Netflix list.
Yeah, nice. What's your favourite thing on Netflix that you've watched recently?
Oh God, I don't know. What have I been watching?
Have you seen Wild Wild Country?
No.
Oh, that's cool. It is actually about, so I've studied yoga, so I'm very interested in yoga and that. But anyway, it's about a yogi who came over to America and created this kind of cult. And the story behind it and the way the documentary series is created is phenomenal. The drama queen in me was like, whoa, really? So there's one for your Netflix.
Cool. Yeah, no, you got to have downtime. You can't let yourself burn out by trying too hard to get it done too fast. If it's a good idea or a good product, it will happen. But you can't work all hours. You've got to have downtime, because even like we just came back from Bali and having that time away from the business, even though we were totally working, but even though we were away from the business, only for a little while, when we came back, we were, refreshed and had all these ideas, and we had time to read some of those books, and we came back and we were able to really refocus on the business. So you've got to pull yourself out of it to be able to see it for what it is. I think you get caught up, like if I was in the office, I'd be, just whizzing around and just doing all of the emails and all the stuff that's hitting me. Whereas when I leave the office, that's when I find a bit of clarity and can more strategically do stuff and think about how the business should move going forward.
Absolutely. And that is, you've just nailed it. Another great reason to come to Wake Up Adelaide is to take yourself out of the chaos for 2 days and just give yourself that break. So, Kelly, I want to thank you so much for being our very first guest for season 2 of Find Your Freedom TV. And remember, everyone out there watching, if you are watching, jump up to from any other page other than the 7 Effects page. Make sure you click the link so you go through to the 7 Effects page and type in Wake Up with a capital W and a capital U, and you'll actually be able to meet Kelly at Wake Up Adelaide. You can hear her full presentation, and you're going to learn from 16 other game-changing outliers in their industry about how to have more health, wealth, happiness, and wisdom in your life. Put those together, and it's ultimately the plan for a life of more freedom. You've been the absolute perfect guest, Kelly. Thank you so much for your time, and we'll see you at Wake Up Adelaide.
Thanks, Jodie. I can't wait.
Take care. See ya.